finding peace in God's loving arms. The weariness of life. Life today feels like a rushing river, pulling us into an endless current of demands. Work piles up on our desks, bills loom over our heads, and the expectations of family and society sometimes make us feel like we're suffocating. There are mornings when you wake up with a heaviness in your chest, your feet want to move forward, but your body begs for a break. This exhaustion isn't just physical. It seeps into your soul when you're hit with big questions like, what am I even living for? Who's going to help me through this mess? Picture a college student cramming for a big exam. The desk lamp glows late into the night. Pages of thick textbooks flip by, but the pressure only builds. It's not just the grades they're worried about. It's the fear of what happens if they fail. What if all this effort goes to waste? Those thoughts crash over them like waves, drowning them in anxiety. There are moments when they just want to give up, sit in a corner, and let the tears fall. But deep down, a quiet question whispers, is there someone big enough to carry me through? This weariness isn't unique to them. It's something we all face. Think of a young mom juggling a crying baby and a remote job, each day feeling like a marathon with no finish line. Or a worker sweating on a construction site, pouring out energy for a paycheck that barely covers the bills. We all carry our own burdens, and sometimes they make us forget we don't have to shoulder them alone. In those moments, we don't just need a long nap. We need a place where our hearts can truly rest, a peaceful shore amid life's storms. Yet, we often try to push through on our own. We grab another cup of coffee, turn up the music to drown out the stress, or chase temporary distractions. But those fixes are like putting a Band-Aid on a deep wound. They cover it up, but don't heal it. Life keeps moving, and the tiredness keeps piling up. So where's the way out? Maybe it's not about how much more we can do, but about daring to pause and turn to a greater strength, a place where our hearts can be soothed and loved without conditions. Resting in God's loving arms. When life stretches us to our breaking point, when every door seems to slam shut, that's when we need to lean into God's loving arms. He's not some distant, cold figure sitting on a throne, ready to judge. No, he's a tender father, always holding out his hands, welcoming us no matter how weak or broken we feel. In our most exhausting moments, just close your eyes and imagine you're being held gently by him, like a child running back to their mom after a long day in the sun. Think of a mother at home. When her little one falls and comes running back crying, scraped knees and all, what does she do first? She doesn't scold or ask a million questions. She just pulls them close, hugging them until the sobs fade away. That's how God is with us. When we pray, when we whisper our hurts to him, he doesn't turn away. He listens, he holds us in his boundless love. And in that embrace, our worries seem to melt, like clouds drifting off after a rain. I once heard about an older woman who lived alone. She'd lost her husband after years together, and every day loneliness weighed on her like a stone. But she had a habit. Each night she'd sit by her window, rosary in hand, praying softly. She said those moments felt like an invisible pair of arms wrapping around her, easing her sadness. It wasn't her imagination. It was God's presence, close, warm, and full of love. Resting in God's arms doesn't mean all our problems vanish instantly. The work's still there, the pressures don't disappear. But what changes is how we face them. Knowing we're not alone, that an Almighty One is by our side, gives us the strength to stand up and keep going. His love is like a fire warming us on a cold winter night. It doesn't banish the dark, but it's enough to make us feel safe and hopeful. Sometimes, just a single moment of leaning on him can bring back the peace we've lost in life's chaos. Finding peace in prayer. Prayer isn't just a ritual. It's a heartfelt chat between us and God. It's like sitting down with your best friend, spilling out everything that's weighing you down and hearing their gentle advice. In those prayerful moments, we don't just unload our burdens, we open ourselves to peace, a peace the world can't give. It's as if our souls are washed clean by a cool stream, carrying away every worry. Imagine a guy working in a hectic office. All day, he's racing against deadlines, drowning in emails, and sitting through tense meetings. When he gets home, his shoulders ache, his mind spinning, but instead of flipping on the TV or scrolling his phone, he sits in a quiet corner, closes his eyes, and prays. He tells God about the tough day, his fear of messing up, and the little dreams he's holding on to. The amazing thing? When he gets up, he feels lighter, not because the work's done, but because he's handed it over to someone bigger. Prayer doesn't have to be fancy or long. Sometimes a simple "Lord, I'm so tired, please help me," is enough to unlock that door to peace. I remember a time when I was burned out from too many responsibilities. One night, I sat by my window, staring at the stars, and whispered to God. No voice answered, no miracle happened right then, but a strange calm settled over me. That's the power of prayer. It doesn't always change the situation, but it changes our hearts. Plus, prayer's a way to listen. In the stillness, God speaks to us through sudden thoughts, a Bible verse that pops into mind, or a deep sense of comfort. It's like a soft breeze, quiet but strong enough to cool life's heat. So if you're feeling worn out, try carving out a few minutes each day to pray. You'll be surprised how, even in the wildest storms, there's a little pocket of peace waiting just for you. Recognizing God's grace life can feel like a giant painting, and too often we only notice the gray streaks of struggle. But if we pause and look closer, we'll see the bright strokes of grace God quietly brushes into our days. Grace doesn't always come as huge wins like hitting the lottery or landing a big break. More often it's in the small, simple things, enough to warm our hearts and remind us He's always there. Think of an ordinary morning. You wake up to a text from an old friend. Just thinking of you. Hope you have a great day. That short message makes you smile and feel cared for. That's God's grace, delivered through someone else's hands. Or picture a hot afternoon when you're dragging your feet down the street and suddenly a light rain falls, cooling the air and lifting your spirits. Those moments aren't random. They're little gifts from Him, whispering, "I'm still looking out for you." I once met a woman who shared her story of battling illness. She said that during her hospital days, what kept her going wasn't just the medicine. It was the small joys around her. A nurse's kind smile, sunlight streaming through the window, or birds chirping outside. She saw that even in pain, God was sending her graces to lift her up. Her story taught me that grace isn't always a grand miracle. It's His steady presence in every breath we take. Spotting grace means slowing down. When life's a blur, we miss the good stuff. Try this. Each night before bed, think of 3 things you're thankful for: a tasty meal, a fun chat, or just making it through a rough day. When you do, you'll realize God's never far off. He's in a child's giggle, a loved one's warm look, even the tears that teach us to grow. And once you see that, your heart fills with peace, knowing you're always loved, always held. Strength from faith. Faith in God is like an anchor in a stormy sea, keeping our life's boat steady when the waves crash hard. When we trust in His care and protection, an invisible strength rises within us, giving us peace to face challenges that once seemed impossible. Faith isn't about expecting miracles to drop from the sky. It's the quiet confidence that no matter what comes, we're not alone. There's an Almighty One walking beside us every step of the way. Picture a woman struggling with money troubles. Her job's shaky, bills are stacking up, and every day brings a knot of worry about tomorrow. In her desperation, she kneels down, prays, and hands it all over to God. She doesn't ask for cash to rain down. She asks for courage and guidance. And something amazing happens. After that prayer, her heart feels lighter. She starts seeing life with a flicker of hope, and soon after, a friend unexpectedly offers her a small job. It's not a fix for everything, but it's a first ray of light breaking through the dark, showing her God's opening a path. I once met an older man who lost his job after decades of hard work. He said at first he was lost, like his whole world had crumbled, but every morning he'd start his day praying, trusting God had a plan. Little by little he found joy in gardening, and soon he was selling fresh veggies to neighbors. What began as a hobby turned into steady income. He told me faith kept him from giving up. It pushed him to stand up and move forward. Faith doesn't just give us strength to get through tough times. It brings a calm that settles the soul. When we believe everything's in God's hands, we stop spinning in circles of worry or fear. It's like riding a train with a driver you trust. You don't need to know every detail. Just relax and enjoy the ride. So when life feels overwhelming, pause, close your eyes, and whisper to God, "I trust you." You'll find that the strength from faith isn't some vague idea. It's real, lifting you up, one step at a time. Feeling God's love. When we rest in God's loving arms, it's not just peace that washes over us. It's the warmth of His boundless love. This love isn't like anything else in the world. It doesn't judge, doesn't demand, and stays with us even when we feel unworthy. It's a powerful force, fueling us to push through the darkest days and stand tall against life's cold winds. Think of a sick little kid lying in a hospital bed. Their body's weak, every breath a struggle, but their eyes still shine with comfort. Why? Because their parents are right there, holding their hand, telling them stories, hugging them tight when they're scared. That love doesn't cure the illness, but it gives the child strength to smile through the pain. God's love for us is like that. On life's hardest days, He's by our side, whispering through small moments, "You're not alone. I love you." I remember a friend sharing how she felt abandoned after her dad passed away suddenly. The loss left her in a cold, empty space. But one night, crying alone, she felt a strange warmth wrap around her, like someone was holding her close. She believed it was God, soothing her hurt with His love. From then on, whenever trouble hit, she'd close her eyes and picture Him hugging her. It gave her the courage to keep going. God's love isn't just a feeling, it's real strength. It reminds us that even if the world turns its back, we're still loved without conditions. Some days you're worn out from work, hurt by someone's words, or down from repeated setbacks. But when you pause, pray, and open your heart, you'll feel that love slip into every corner of your soul. It's like sunshine after a long winter, warming you and sparking hope. So let your heart soak in His love. It's a never-ending well, always ready to lift you up. Forgiveness brings peace. Forgiveness is a precious gift from God, healing not just our ties with others, but freeing our own hearts. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a backpack full of rocks. Every step drags, every breath feels hard. But when we learn to forgive, whether it's ourselves or someone else, a door to peace swings open, letting in light and lightness. Imagine a man who hurt his best friend with careless words during an argument. Afterward, he's haunted by guilt, tossing and turning at night. Finally, he faces his mistake, goes to his friend, and sincerely apologizes. His friend doesn't just forgive. He pulls him into a big hug, saying their friendship means more than those harsh words. In that moment, the man feels a huge weight lift off his chest. Forgiveness doesn't just fix their bond, it brings him the peace he'd lost. I once saw a young woman trapped by regret over past mistakes. She thought she didn't deserve love, and that guilt locked her in sadness. But one day, praying, she heard a gentle voice inside. "You're forgiven." She realized God wasn't holding her errors against her, and she didn't need to punish herself either. From then on, she started forgiving herself, and day by day, she felt lighter, like a bird set free to soar. Forgiveness isn't easy, especially when the hurt runs deep. But that's why God teaches it, not to please others, but to set us free. When you let go of bitterness, you're not just giving someone a second chance. You're giving yourself a fresh start. It's like cleaning a messy room. Once everything's in place, the space feels open and calm. So if your heart's heavy with old wounds, ask God for the strength to forgive. Peace will come, gentle and lasting. Gratitude. Gratitude is the key that unlocks happiness and peace in life. When we cherish the graces God gives us, big or small, we see that life isn't just a string of struggles. It's a chain of precious gifts. Gratitude doesn't change our circumstances, but it shifts how we see them, helping us find joy even on the gloomiest days. Picture a woman who keeps a journal every night. Before bed, she sits down, grabs a pen, and jots down 3 things she's thankful for. Maybe a tasty dinner with family, a coworker's smile, or the stunning sunset she caught on her way home. Even if the day was stressful, recalling those good bits makes her smile and warms her heart. Gratitude doesn't erase the tough stuff. It's a little lamp lighting up her soul's dark corners. I once met a boy from a poor family. They didn't have much, but when I asked if he was happy, he nodded and said, "I'm thankful for my mom, for food, and for school." That simple joy floored me. He didn't have fancy toys or nice clothes, but he found happiness in the basics. His gratitude taught me a big lesson. Joy isn't about what we own, but how we value what we have. Gratitude also ties us to God. When we say thank you for a peaceful day, a good friend, or a challenge we've survived, we see He's always there. It's like thanking someone who helped you. It makes them happy and draws you closer. So try growing gratitude daily. Even when life wobbles, look around for the small treasures. You'll find peace isn't far off. It's right there in your thankful heart. Finding peace in God's love. When you're worn out, when life feels like a load too heavy to bear, take a deep breath and remember this. God's loving arms are always stretched out, wide open, ready to catch you. He's not some far-off figure watching from a distance, nor is He ever weary of your struggles, no matter how often you stumble. He's right there, closer than your next heartbeat, waiting to wrap you in a love so deep and steady that it can carry you through anything. From the soft, gentle graces of His mercy to the quiet peace that flows from prayer, from His endless, unconditional love to the healing power of forgiveness, and even the warm glow of gratitude. These are all treasures He scattered along your journey. They're gifts, beautifully wrapped, just waiting for you to pause, reach out, and embrace them with an open heart. Think about those moments when the world feels like it's spinning out of control, when deadlines pile up, relationships fray, or the future looks like a dark, uncertain blur. It's easy to feel lost, to wonder how you'll keep going. But here's the truth. You don't have to figure it all out alone. Take a moment each day to pray, to lean into God's arms, and let His presence wash over you. You don't need fancy words or long speeches, just a simple, honest whisper. Lord, I need you. In those quiet minutes, you'll feel a comfort so deep it's like a soft blanket on a cold night. No matter how chaotic the day gets, how loud the noise of life becomes, those few stolen moments with Him can refill your strength, steady your steps, and remind you that you're held by a love that never lets go. Every morning you wake up is a fresh start, a brand new chance to soak in His love and guidance. It's like the sun breaking through after a long, stormy night, proof that light always follows darkness. With God by your side, you can rise above the challenges that try to pull you down. Maybe it's a tough conversation you've been dreading, a loss that still stings, or a dream that feels out of reach. Whatever it is, His love is your anchor, His wisdom your compass. He doesn't promise a life without bumps, but He does promise to walk with you through every single one, turning even the hardest days into stepping stones toward a life brimming with meaning and purpose. Life might not always be perfect. There'll be days when the rain falls hard, when tears come instead of laughter, when you wonder if you've got what it takes to keep going. But here's the beautiful thing. With God, you'll always find light. It's not the kind of light that blinds or overwhelms. It's a gentle glow, like a candle flickering in a dark room, showing you the way. It's the light of peace that calms your restless heart, the light of hope that whispers tomorrow can be better, and the light of His everlasting love that says you're enough, just as you are. I've seen it in my own life, times when I felt broken, but a quiet prayer brought me back to that light, and I know you can find it too. So when the weight of the world presses down, don't give up. Look up instead. Picture yourself resting in His arms, surrounded by His care. Let His gifts, mercy, peace, love, forgiveness, gratitude fill you up. Make time to talk to Him, to listen, to just be with Him. Because in those moments, you'll discover something amazing. The peace you've been searching for isn't out there somewhere. It's already yours, tucked right into the love of a God who never stops holding you close. With Him, every day becomes a chance to live fully, to love deeply, and to shine brightly, no matter what comes your way. After watching, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. I have many good videos to share. Learn to give, and God will give you peace.